That perhaps, yeah.
Fixed It is a movement or a campaign that started up by a journalist named Jane Gilmore. She identifies, or people send her in headlines that are about from stories centred on gender violence. She rewrites them, posts them on Instagram with the hashtag #FixedIt, how they really should be written. And so we take headlines like Axe slashes family apart, and it turns into man savagely murders wife and 2 children. Or, man has sex with 7-year-old. I mean, in what sense does anyone have sex with a child? And it's a very powerful campaign. I know that we go through a lot of these things with the students, but on all sorts of areas. I mean, there's a clear difference between if you call someone a refugee and if you call someone a queue jumper. Or if you talk about an occupied territory and you talk about, an Israeli settlement, you're completely constructing a sort of artificial reality when you don't call things by their proper names.
Okay, but is this up for grabs a little bit, like in terms of, sometimes some people will have a view and they may express that view. Obviously there'll be there's some cases where, some examples you gave there where, you need to call something what it is. But is there room to move on this, or are we just calling out, the wrong kind of words with the Fixed It campaign? How does it sort of work?
I am a really big supporter of Fixed It. I think it does magnificent work, and I think it's incredibly important. And sometimes we just think. I was listening to Tracy Spicer, who I also greatly admire, the other day, and she was telling her audience, because it was a seminar on gender violence, and that it's just these sort of old, journalists don't write the headlines. It's this old middle-aged man, who's sitting over at Fairfax writing those headlines, and it's not, because all the old middle-aged men got fired 10 years ago. I mean, as Andrew told you, these newsrooms are full of 21, 22, 23-year-olds, and we are seeing, we've got to change, we've got to make meaningful change, and language it's not the only way. I mean, it's certainly not the only way, but it is certainly one way.